Are you an NPC? Hear me out. An NPC is a non-playable character, and it's something that started popping up now in sort of the younger generations. They've played video games forever, and let's take a game called Grand Theft Auto, for example. You're the main character in it. You get to control what they do, where they go, who they speak to, who they shoot, etc. Now, the rest of the game characters are basically pre-programmed characters that do the same thing on a loop. Now, are you one of those? Or are you the main character? I was doing a podcast the other day with Joe Russo, and we were talking about free will, and do human beings actually have free will? And we were sort of doing a bit of a thought experiment, and I came up with this idea that we probably all, to start with, are programmed to do certain things, i.e. brush your teeth, go to school, talk to the same few people, have a very similar conversation. The thoughts that go around in your head are pretty much the same, and your day-to-day business is pretty much 90% the same every day. Now, some people go through life and become slightly more free thinking. Just got to stop the dog lead. I think we all live on a scale. Part of our life is this automated same thing, and of course it's the most efficient way to live. But only a very small portion of our life is actually spent doing what we want to do, thinking differently, not worrying about what other people think about you. And I think if you train that part, you can actually have a bigger percentage of your life that's operating on those levels rather than on these NPC levels. So have a think about your life and your day-to-day business. How much of that is the same journey to work, same morning wake-up schedule, same conversations at work, flicking through the same things on social media, having the same lunch, maybe a sandwich or something like that at lunch, driving that same journey home, getting home at the same time, doing the same things when you get in, maybe picking the kids up from school. And I know loads of you are going to say, well, we have to do that, that's life. Yeah, of course it is. But can you find any moments during the day where you can do something entirely different? You might, after this video, go, right, I'm going to start writing a book. Something I've never done before. But a lot of you will go, too worried about what people will say. Or, I haven't got anything to say. I think once you can start to shift this, because I was talking to Joe, I reckon most people work on about an 80-20 ratio. So 20% of the time they are free thinking, they're doing things they want to do, they're taking a different dog walk, they're going and speaking to new people and strangers and starting a new activity. But 80% of the time, they're doing the same monotonous thing. Their life's exactly the same. I've definitely shifted that. I was probably in that same 80-20 a couple of years ago. I'm definitely not there now. I've written a book, I've started a podcast, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to know about that. But it just then starts to make you think, fuck, if I'd have been more like this as a youngster, where would my life be now? Because you don't have to be set in that trap. You don't have to be in that shitty job your whole life, or in that shitty relationship your whole life. You don't have to be surrounded by those so-called friends that are toxic and are always on the bag and are always boozing. You don't have to live in that same town. The fear of what other people are going to think and the fear of maybe failing actually keeps us in that 80% of that NPC world. So have a little think about it. When you put the phone down, how much of what you've done already today, I don't know what time you're seeing this, it's Saturday morning where I am, but how much of what you've done today was the same as what you did yesterday? How many of those thoughts are the same thoughts? Stopped at that same set of traffic lights on the way into work? Can you find 5 minutes a day where you do something entirely different? Now that might be learning a new craft, learning to draw or paint, writing a poem down, writing a love letter to that girl or that boy that you've been fancying and in love with. Because I promise you, once you start to make those changes in that 20% of your life, it soon becomes 30%. And I don't know what happens at 50%, But could you imagine if we could live life at 80% as a free thinker, trying new things, going new places? And loads of you are going to say, oh, that's a fantastical dream. Yeah, it probably is. And jobs and bills and all of those things more than likely do shackle us to that same process of monotonous thoughts, the same food. I was watching something the other day and they were talking about the amount of actual edible vegetables and fruits that are on the planet compared to the actual amount that we do eat. And it was ridiculous. It was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that we can eat, that are available. Yet us in the West, certainly in the UK, we're probably limited to about 60. Now, I'm not saying that it's a good thing to go and try everything, but we've only got another, if you're anything like me, and I'm 45, I've got another 35 Christmases left, if I'm lucky. It'd be a shame to figure out with one Christmas left that I really liked pheasant, and I could have been eating pheasant forever. But it's that same thought path, that NPC mindset, that's kept me thinking that turkey is the only thing you can eat at Christmas, or thinking that you have to eat meat, or thinking that you have to be a vegan. Change your mindset, try and shift that 20% to 25% as a free thinker, and doing new things and having new experiences, and see where you are this time next year.